Hey y'all, it's Lisa Zahiya, your life and business coach. And today we're talking about how to start a business. So you have an idea and you're like, I'm ready to quit my full-time job. I want to turn my passion into profit. So oftentimes when I hear people saying things like that, they'll be like, I need to write a business plan. Not yet. We don't need to do that just yet. What we want to do is do a little bit of research to figure out three big questions, and that is who, what, and why. So I'm gonna add a fourth one. Who are we selling this to? What are we selling them? Why do they want it? And who else is doing similar things so we can learn? So let's go one at a time. So the first is who. The biggest mistake I see with folks who want to start a business is they'll be like, I want to help everyone. And in fact, that is the easiest way to not succeed in business because when we can be for everyone, we become a commodity like rice. And it's really hard to get everyone's attention, and then you're competing with very large companies, et cetera, et cetera. We want to get down to what's called a niche, and that is what is a small group of people who I can help. So the first thing you're going to do is identify what we're going to call the avatar. People call it different things, ideal customer, but who is this for? And we want to think that eventually we're going to have to speak to these people about what we have. So these are my glasses, and they were sold directly to me. They've got my prescription in them. So they're for someone specific. So when they were giving them to me, they're like, these are for you. So I want you to think about what's your prescription for this ideal person with what you have. So the first thing we're going to do is write out a personality, or like I say write out, I love to write it as a person, like their name is Anne. And here's who that person is. And we're going to talk about demographics and psychographics. Demographics are the facts, age range. If you come to me and you say it's for anybody 20 to 80, it's got to get narrower. Age, where do they live? Geography. And then more importantly, like what kind of education do they have? Because that's going to affect how we speak to them. What kind of problems do they have? What are their value systems? So that's getting into psychographics. Like demographic is the what, and psychographic is like, how do they think? What do they believe? So I want to get really, 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 really detailed about the who. Because if you go out into the world and I'm looking for someone, it's easier to find it the more specific about who they are. So that's who. And then secondly, who, what, why? What are we selling them? So if you're like, I am a Pilates teacher, I'm going to teach Pilates to Anne. I want you to tell me specifically what are you going to do? And this is where we're going to start thinking about something which is differentiation. And we're going to get into that when we're talking about who else. But like, how is this different than what anyone else does? So we've got Anne, and then we want to think, what are my specific solutions to her problems? One of the easiest ways to do this is we take Anne and we write out what all of her problems are related to what I do. And then I write down how I can solve each of the problems. And then when I aggregate those solutions, I have my offer or my packages. So intense Pilates while your kids are in school, whatever it is. Now, we're not necessarily married to this yet, but this is where we want to start. So we have the who, the what, and then the why. The why is, why does this matter to Anne? And why is this different than anyone else? So you want to write down, because it's going to help us sell it to Anne, is why does she need it? And what problems are you solving? So we've got who, what, why. Then we're going to start thinking about who else. And I like to think about who are direct competitors. So Pilates, it might be other Pilates studios. But I also want to write out, where else can Anne get these needs met? She can be doing at-home Pilates videos. She could be doing CrossFit. She could be doing yoga. So where else is Anne getting this general, because we've assessed what her problem is, where else could she get it met? And you want to start to differentiate yourself, because that is going to play into the why. So how does that make me different? So who, what, why, who else? And then we're going to dig way into the who else. And we're going to start working on like, who else does this, and we're going to study them. So we never copy content, but we can sure copy structure. So if somebody else is doing, I want to do Pilates, somebody else is doing HIIT classes, we can look at how they're speaking to Anne's problems and we can be inspired by it. We can see how often they're posting. We can mimic that. So you're just going to make a list of everything they do that you prefer and everything they do that you don't prefer, because we've gone from any offering in the world and we're starting to narrow it down. So before a business plan, before you get an LLC, before you offer to sell somebody to something, I want you to answer these questions. Who, what, why, and who else? And then I'm going to address in my next video what you're going to do with that information.